Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra.
Jaya Srinathji, Jaya Bhagavatam, Jaya Srinathji, Jaya Giri Govardhan.
Jaya Srinathji, Jaya Balagopal, Jaya Srinathji, Jaya Guru Govardhan.
Jaya Gaurani Jaya, Jaya Gaurani Jaya, Jaya Gaurani Jaya, Jaya Gaurani Jaya.
Jaya Gaurani Jaya, Jaya Gaurani Jaya, Jaya Gaurani Jaya, Jaya Gaurani Jaya.
Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa Varivradikacharya. Also the Satyashishi Maharaj Divine Grace, founder of ISKCON Abhay Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Granthara Shrimadbhagavatam ki. Their most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Kunja Vihari ki. Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mahi Subhadra ki. Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal ki. Shri Shri Gornitai ki. Nitai Go Prem. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord and Spirit of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Text 22. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatam Vyasam
Devi Saraswati Vyasam.
Tojayamajiraya Nasta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 22. Sakrit Yad Darshitam Rupam Sakrit Yad Darshitam Rupam Etat Kamaya Te Naga Etat Kamya Te Naga Mat Kama Sanakai Sadhu Mat Kama Sanakai Sadhu Sarvam Munchati Rikshayam Sarvan Munchati Rikshayam Sakridya Darshitam Rupam Sakridya Darshitam Rupam Etat Kamayate Naga Etat Kamayate Naga Mat Kama Sanakai Sadhu Mat Kama Sanakai Sadhu Sarvan Muchati Rikshayam Sarvan Chatirikshaya
Sarvan Chatirikshayam
Sakridya Darshitam Rupam
Sakridyat Darshitam Rupam
Etat Kamayating Naga
Etat Kamayate Naga
Matkama Sankai Sadhu
Matkama Sanatai Sadhu
Sarvan Munchatirikshaya
Sarvan Chatirikshayam Sakridyat Darshitam Rupam
Sakridya Darshitam Rupam
Etat Kamayate Naga
Etat Kamayate Naga
Matkama Sanakai Sadhu
Matkama Sanakai Sadhu
Sarvan Munchatirikshayam
Sarvan Munchatirikshaya Sakrid
Sakrid
once only
once only
Yat
Yat
that
that
Darshitam
Darshitam
shown
Shown.
Rupam
Rupam
form Etat
Etat
this is
This is
Kamaya
Kamaya
for hankerings
Hankering.
Te
Te
your
Yo
Anaga
Anada
O virtuous one
O virtuous one.
Mat
Mat
mine
Mine.
Kama
Kama
desire
Desire
Sanakai
Sanai
by increasing
By increasing.
Sadhu
Sadhu.
devotee
Devotee.
Sarva
Sarvan
all Munchati
Munchati
gives away
gives away
Ritsaya
Ritsayam
material desires
material desire
Sakridya darshitam rupam etat kamaya te naga matkama sankai sadhu sarvan muchati rikshaya. O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me, because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. Please repeat. O virtuous one,
O virtuous one,
you have only once seen my person,
you have only once seen my person,
and this is just to increase your desire for me.
and this is just to increase your desire for me.
Because the more you hanker for me,
Because the more you hanker for me,
the more you will be freed from all material desires.
the more you will be free from all material desires.
O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me, because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. Purport by His Divine Grace of Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A living being cannot be vacant of desires. He's not a dead stone. He must be working, thinking, feeling, and willing. But when he thinks, feels, and wills materially, he becomes entangled. And conversely, when he thinks, feels, and wills for the service of the Lord, he becomes gradually free from all entanglement. The more a person is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the more he acquires a hankering for it. That is the transcendental nature of godly service. Material service has satiation, whereas spiritual service of the Lord has neither satiation nor end. One can go on increasing his hankerings for the loving transcendental service of the Lord. Jai Shri Shri Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Mani Subhadra, Jai Shri Gonitai. And yet, you will not find satiation or end. By intense service of the Lord, one can experience the presence of the Lord transcendentally. Therefore, seeing the Lord means being engaged in His service, because His service and His person are identical. The sincere devotee should go on with sincere service of the Lord. The Lord will give proper direction as to how and where it has to be done. There was no material desire in Narad, and yet, just to increase his intense desire for the Lord, he was so advised. Om Jnanatimarandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshusumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Namaha. Here we're seeing the nature of not only the nature, but the end result we should be experiencing from the engagement in devotional service. The nature of devotional service is that it is eternal, just as we are eternal. And so the mind trained for it to be knowing it is situated in devotional service eternally, then one has to just engage in the service every day. The means, though, there are different levels of love of God. And so similarly, there are different levels of experience of the happiness that one gets from engaging in the service of love of God with love for God. And it is being revealed here as well that the amount of devotion we develop for wanting to serve Krishna, we will in effect get Krishna himself as our reward. We will get his darshan, we will get his presence, we will eventually be able to see Krishna. But not that we engage for that reason. In the material world, working at a job, it is expected that one is going to be given an exchange in return for their energy. But nevertheless, the soul that is agreeing to accept in exchange for that energy a form, piece of paper, so to speak, money, that allows them to use that energy that they engaged in the past for some future product. That's capitalism, right? That's the way our society, and for the most part, as far as I know, most of the world now is functioning using a piece of paper with numbers on it as a means of saying that the person who holds this paper has previously engaged in an activity that was found to be having this much value, right? Yeah.
It has shifted into numbers in the bank account and credit cards.
Now is what?
Now it has shifted into credit cards.
A credit card, exchanged into a credit card now instead of a piece of paper, yeah. So the credit card is only representative of the amount of numbers calculated by a computer, a machine, which can be wiped out at any moment. The entire memory of all these calculators, computers, in fact, the whole communication system can be wiped out at any moment, which people, for the most part, we don't take thought of it, because from time to time when we do go through what they call brownouts, then we just expect it's going to return. Hopefully that is the case. However, from the appearance of the ancient scriptures, view of the future, which is what we're actually studying here is the mind of God. We're studying the mind of God. The Bhagavatam is. It's the revelation of activities that he took pleasure in engaging in with his devotees, with demons, and everybody in between. And so, giving us a viewpoint, as Bhagavatam does, to see the value of that which Bhagavatam is giving to us, which is devotional service itself. So, the nature of devotional service being eternal, we set our minds, the consciousness we develop in our minds. Normally, when a person is engaged in a job for material desire, usually they're thinking of how they can get a better job, right? It's not some form of satiation either. They don't become. They want something else. In effect, it's a form of satiation. They had enough of that, they want something better. So, ultimately, it would be, in my mind, one would conclude, I want what is the best, right? If we're going to aim for something, make our life to be a goal, have a goal for it, to aim for something that all the energy we spent in this life would produce something worthwhile. In our heart of hearts, in our mind of minds, we would try to envision, what is that perfection? What would perfection be if at the end of the life we could look at it and say, yes, I'm thankful, I'm very thankful I had the opportunity to engage in those activities that gave me this privilege. So that's how we can see devotional service all the time, because it's that mentality that when we chant with that mentality, Krishna, please engage me in your loving devotional service, Krishna reveals to us by remaining in that mentality that he himself will give us the ability to do just that. So then, we may go through a time of testing. We used to have a saying in the kitchen, getting fried. You probably don't know what fried is. Do you know what fried is? I'll tell you what fried is. Mahamuni, this devotee, when Srila Prabhupada went to engagements, right? Srila Prabhupada had like bodyguards next to him. He had Kshatriya-like devotees that could protect him. So the common thing for devotees to watch out for was the people who were trying to get too close. And so one devotee was telling Mahamuni, tell this devotee they can't get that close. And then Srila Prabhupada was motioning for them to come closer. So you got one devotee telling you one thing this way to protect Srila Prabhupada from this person, and then you got Srila Prabhupada saying another thing. Just put kind of like in a perspective where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You don't know what to do. So that's called getting fried. Then you can drive for 200 miles, having been up for a long time through the night, got maybe 4 hours of sleep, waiting to the destination that you can take rest, and then getting to the destination and being told that now you got to drive to another state somewhere. That's called getting fried, right? I had that happen, and I got in an automobile accident because I was overdone. So sometimes when you get fried, you get overdone. But see, it's a test that Krishna gives you. You see where you're going to put in your mind the service that is enabling you to engage in it. Krishna's energy is not different from Krishna. This internal energy. But the external energy takes on a different quality. And see, we are using the external energy of Krishna that we want to get paid for. When we have a job, that is the external energy, the Om that yogis are chanting to experience what they don't know they are already in. This whole creation that we are dwelling in, if we reach a stage of privilege being able to go anywhere within it, is still all the external energy of Krishna. So the only way we can know what the internal energy, which is love, is to develop that consciousness that love has. And that is keeping our mind constantly intent on being immersed in that love, immersing the soul, seeing itself as that breath that Krishna has breathed into Brahma's body out of love. Because of Krishna's love, we came into existence. And now Krishna wants us to taste that love for him. And he's explaining to us how to do that. And that will give us the greatest bliss. So what I have determined in my mind by the conclusions I'm making from having read these scriptures is that Krishna, the presence of Krishna, the relationship with Krishna, knowledge of Krishna that these books give is the highest perfection. And I would not have been able to stay here if I hadn't believed that. Even believing other devotees are of that same nature is a bit a fallacy. Because human beings have failures that Krishna doesn't have. But when Krishna puts into position of authority in the parampara himself, when he puts that, for example, someone like Srila Prabhupada, someone like Gopal Krishna Maharaj, someone like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, these devotees that we saw lived a life to promote Krishna consciousness by example, then we know Krishna himself is personally granting them that privilege. And it's up to the soul that is given that privilege to determine that they're going to either stay in that or they want to leave. But there comes a point in staying that you know nothing else. And it's like almost like a child requiring food. The soul knows it needs Krishna. We need Krishna more than we need food, actually. And there are bugs that even reveal how little the soul needs to exist. You ever watch how often a spider takes food? They can sit in this one web for days and days and days on end. And then when they do, how much are they getting as food? It's occupying like this much space. And they get mad that much. And it is a soul that is using Krishna's external energy, but it is only allotted that much by the consciousness it has developed to that stage of its development, to be able to only get that much for its continuance. So in a sense, it's performing a form of austerity, ignorantly, in a state of ignorance. But because of that, then it can progress to the next stage. Maybe it becomes a fly, because that's all he thinks about is flies. That's all he wants, just sitting there in that web. But then Krishna takes that as an example for a devotee to follow as a lifestyle. That is, he doesn't cut his life out for himself. He lets Krishna do it. That is, that things are brought into his life as an opportunity he waits for. They come. Opportunities come automatically. The web is there to catch whatever will fly into it. Not only flies, whatever's flying, mosquitoes go, cockroaches go, all kinds of bugs get in there. Some of them they want, some of them they don't. Some of them they can contend with, some of them are their enemies and they can't. But that's the end result of using the material energy. Even what would seem to be successful becomes, as an enemy becomes to a spider, that which will destroy it. Using the external energy of Krishna to satisfy ourselves, to give ourselves some form of experience that we think is not available anywhere else, that we have in our minds by conditioning been brought to the point of believing is perfection. So the fly's perfection is a piece of sugar. The spider's perfection is the fly. But what is the devotee's perfection? And that is what is being revealed to us in these scriptures to make a decision about. What do you want? You want perfection? Or do you want to continue in the way things are made for you to be able to continue in the material also? We have the choice. We can stay here eternally too. How long that spider will be in the material world, even before it gets to the stage of human consciousness, then what to speak of it from that first birth of being a human, how long it takes to even gain the knowledge that it is a spiritual being, which only comes from the advanced association with souls who are advanced on the path of spiritual consciousness. So, every life that the human being takes stops that soul from its development then. Because by nature, death will automatically come to us. We don't have to force it. The same way wealth will come. The same way prosperity, good health, all these things come natural with wisdom, with knowledge, and application of the spiritual principles being given to us. And we have the choice. We can even sacrifice these things. We don't spend our whole day physical exercises trying to, Srila Prabhupada says, we take just enough to keep body and soul together. Because the devotee understands even length of life ultimately is determined by Krishna. So ultimately, the soul, with Krishna having that in his own choice, the soul that comes close enough to being the friend of Krishna, then Krishna gives the choice too, as well. So those latent, you might say, idle abilities that we don't use as souls until we come to the knowledge of them being available to us. We lie in a state of dormancy. But everything we need to experience Krishna consciousness and pure love of God at any moment through our day in life can be had, can be experienced by the pure chanting of a devotee, by the pure commitment of a devotee to serving Krishna with pure love. Just thinking, Krishna, please, let me engage in this service of yours without my own desires contaminating the pureness that it needs to be for souls to be able to get the valuable knowledge of how valuable love of God is. People aren't valuing love in their day-to-day activities, and automatically the position they put themselves by signing a contract over to somebody else makes them a prostitute to the ones they're serving. So I'd rather be giving my will to Krishna than, in effect, giving it to those I otherwise work for, who are working only towards creating a great, wealthy kingdom in this world. If there are jobs out there that can offer, this is what Varnashram is for. If there are jobs out there that can be created with the end result being that the soul who engages in it can be benefited eternally, then all of society can be freed from the bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease in their consciousness. Not that we don't know that our bodies are going to come to a state of uselessness, but that we're going to change bodies. And by applying the principles, we will gain the ability to use a body more perfectly because we've been faithful with the one we've been given here. If you give a child a thing that requires a bit of attention to its use and to the preservation of its well-being, and you see that they do that, then they can have now the real thing, not a toy anymore. Child starts with a toy car. He can pedal. He learns how to steer. Then a bicycle, he can learn how to balance. Then he can progress to a car that can drive him. So similarly, spiritual consciousness, we start off, and you can see it even in the animal kingdom. They have family, but they're limited in their ability to protect their own only. They're not in a position to be able to see the difference or to see the likeness of soul in the lion and the lamb and the tree and the bird. They're both of the same makeup, but they're revealing various simplistic aspects that the soul in the spiritual world has full use of at any time. You see, it takes us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime to change bodies. In the spiritual world, by revealing the relationship they're having with Krishna at their moment, their bodies change colors even. They're feeling passionate, compassionate, merciful, kind, gentle. All these things are revealed through bodily expressions even there. And so Krishna reads, so these things come out perverted here in the form of lines on our body, facial features, different marks we get in our body like that. But all these things are revealing perverted reflections of that original relationship we have in Krishna. So that's how, there is even a, I believe it's a Brigu library in India, where the librarians see these people are actually souls that have been given a position special as well in their service that Krishna is making available in the world through this Brigu Samhita. Simply by looking at you, they can tell you the name your parents gave you at birth. So they are using a function the soul has that develops by application of its energy to the furtherance of Krishna's knowledge, Krishna's truth, Krishna's divine presence, Krishna's divine knowledge of everything. And that's what devotees are doing. And that's our purpose, to give everyone what we have as the greatest treasure that we have. We want to give that greatest treasure, all of it as much as possible, away to everyone that we meet. But we have to do that in a way that they can receive it. You can't pour a quart of water in a cup. You can only give a cup of water, 8 ounces into 8-ounce cup. So they can only receive so much. Most of the people in the world, there are various aspects of our philosophy that we have to understand, to take sensitivity of, to know where they are. And Krishna gives you that expertise. Immediately when you start talking to a Christian, you'll pick up on subtle things they start making suggestions about that will let you know that they think you're going to hell. Because you need Jesus. You don't have the blood of Jesus, you will die and go to hell forever and ever and ever and ever. And if you say Jesus the wrong way, it's a curse word. Our philosophy is a little different than that, knowing the value of the name of God. But see, because they hold these truths, they believe to be truths. They are not given the name. And you can understand by reasoning why in Krishna's heart of love, he would restrain people from having his name who are prone to committing offenses against it. So devotees initially are being given the knowledge of the offenses that are committed by normal human beings against the name every day, and they don't even know they're doing that against the name. They make fun of devotees. They speak evil of principles that we hold. The breaking of the 4 regulative principles, they hold as enjoyment, pleasure. Let's go to the casino. Let's go to the bar. You know, all these things are, in the end, the breaking of the regulative principles. So in order for them to be able to eventually come to an understanding, Krishna even makes a religion that allows them to justify in their minds the breaking of principles. It's called Sutra, scriptures. Now, this is revealed. We might think this is a little bit strange, right? But when you look at Judaism as a religion, from an objective perspective, the nature of these people against God, he freed them from slavery, gave them a leader that provided them food in a desert. You ever been in a desert? The only food you can find there, you might find a bird flying overhead that's waiting for you to die because there's nothing to eat. That's what's in the desert. And even you cut a cactus open, if it hasn't rained long enough, that's going to be pretty close to dry too. And the water you get out of it is not that pleasant to drink. There's nothing in the desert. And yet he gave them food that came up out of the ground of itself every single day. Plenteous enough to tell them exactly how much to take and how they would be satisfied if they took that much. And they rejected it. No, we want the food we had when we were slaves. This is what's recorded in the Bible of the people that God himself is giving freedom to. And rejecting that kind, they were demanding of Moses, a man, to tell God that he had to provide meat for them to be satisfied. These are the people. Now, this is a history. Now, if you tell that to the people now that are following the traditions of those ancestors, you will be called anti-Semitic. So this goes on the internet, might even be cut off of Facebook or whatever. But the people that are alive now are not realizing if they take this to be speaking against them, they are not their ancestors. So the same way that people now who have as ancestors people who were born into slavery, you are not your father, you are not your mother, nor are you their ancestors, nor are any of us. And yet, we are holding the children as responsible for the acts and deeds of their forefathers by saying the children now have to make attribution for the acts of the people that came before them. This is ridiculous. If you walk into a home where their father is a drunk and the mother's cursing all the time, can you blame the children for their activities of their parents? Absolutely not. And yet, with people thinking to make up for the problems of their ancestors, so if we're going to carry out what their ancestors deserved for good, then we also have to accept what karma our ancestors created for the bad. But that's where Krishna consciousness comes in. Because the way we can actually save these ancestors of the past is not to proclaim how much they deserved freedom, but to now act in such a way. Krishna promises that 10 generations pass, if you just become a pure devotee, 10 generations forward and backward will be saved and brought into a place of liberation where they will not have to fear birth, death, old age, and disease. That's really doing something for our ancestors. Then what to speak when you gain full entrance in Vaikuntha, that goes to 100 generations forward and backward. So what we can really do, if we really feel that we would like to see justice done for all historical misgivings that have ever happened to all human beings. Because if we look with love and we realize we've been there ourselves, we've been in every form of animal, we've been in wars, we've been through times of peace, we've been in sickness, we've been in health, we've been in poverty, we've been in wealth. Now, all of those experiences, the culmination of that, Krishna is giving us the ability to look at with a perspective of a future now that we can have perfection as our goal, which is love of God. All that we've gone through is so that we can know what pure love of God is, the completeness of it. Krishna wants to give us that of himself because that's what he is. I can't give you something that I'm not. So Krishna's giving us what he is himself. And when that covers the earth, I'll become even better than a heavenly planet. But the fact that it is in this material universe, it has restraints to how high the consciousness of the living beings are able to come to before they automatically go. Right? So that's our aim. We're going to get out of here once and for all. Krishna says you don't have to come back here. And we won't have to. But pure love again will lead us to that point where Narad Muni is. Look at Narad Muni, son of Brahma, with the purpose of coming here to preach, for us to be able to hear about him and his interaction with Vedavyas that we are hearing. This is perfection. Sitting in class, hearing Krishna Katha about love of God. This is what perfection is, actually. And this is what we have to give everyone. This is what the human life is meant to experience. The pleasure of knowing the relationship God has with all life as being love. As being love. Everything is brought into existence by love for the sake of knowing love. And then we complicate it and try and figure out other ways than that which is already established as perfect. And which is this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People are taking drugs. They want a different way of thinking than the pain they're suffering. People go to movies for a couple hours. They want to be relieved of the thoughts they're having in their everyday lives. People go to see a comedy. People go to a bar, take alcohol. They want a different kind of thinking. They want to get out of the troubling thoughts, their mind. And Krishna, pure Krishna consciousness, this chanting is the perfection of the experiences they are all looking for as a form of pleasure in that they're pursuing in all those other pursuits of breaking the regulative principles, which is exactly what's causing their suffering. Looking for ways to suffer, hoping to find ways to experience pleasure. It's sad. But at the same time, being free from it, we can take great joy at knowing Krishna has given us. We have come to the state where Krishna has found it within his pleasure to reveal all this to us. We have a lot to be thankful for. It's getting that time. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Any comments, any questions, any realization? God. Grant Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.